Welcome to another episode of the Momentous podcast, where I speak to business leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs. And today I'm really privileged to have with me the former ambassador of Zimbabwe to the Republic of Ghana, Ambassador P.T. Musaka. Welcome to the Momentous podcast.
Thank you so much.
Wow, amazing. So I'm really honored to have you in the studio with us today, Ambassador. And I see from your portfolio that you are obviously a previous diplomat or a diplomat, a mentor, entrepreneur, and a cultural ambassador who's currently our Zimbabwean dress ambassador. And I can see you're wearing that perfectly beautiful. I must say you're looking absolutely amazing this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. So can you share with me your diplomatic career and what's shaped you to be the woman that you are today? So I'm going to start from where your diplomatic career started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maureen Bodia. My journey in diplomacy started way before I even became I went to university. As a child, I was born in a family of 9 children, and out of those 9 children, my parents were both Zimbabweans, but they migrated to go to Musaka, Zambia, and that's where I was born. And my late father, Mr. Zambima was a teacher, but from teaching, he moved on to go into personnel management in a private company in Lusaka. This is where he was working his whole life throughout until he retired. But besides working in the private sector, he also went into farming. So all this that he did had a bearing on who this person sitting in front of you is.
Wow.
As a teacher, he saw no difference between the male child and the female child. So we were brought up in that family setup. We encouraged whoever could do their best, whether you're male or female, you do your best. So I focused on education, which is what was being put a lot of trust on by my late father and mother. So thereafter, being born outside, went to primary school, secondary school, and university. But both primary and secondary school, I went to a multiracial school, the multiracial schools, except for the first year in a totally African school, primary school. But soon after independence in Zambia in 1964, then I moved on to the multiracial schools. So again, that exposure, being away from my own country, Zimbabwe, I'm actually a diasporan. Wow. This is where the interest of international relations comes in, having been born outside.
Wow.
So I was quite comfortable working in a foreign country. And then soon after I finished my university, I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in public administration. I always wanted to come back home. The reason being, whenever as a diasporan, I'm talking now to many diasporans out there, you always know that I'm a foreigner, no matter how much, even if they give you all the documentation and everything.
Absolutely.
Back at the back of your mind, you always know one day I want to go back home.
Yeah.
So this is what I did. Upon graduation, I came back home. But before I left, the parting words I received from my father, when I had packed all my bags, all he said to me, do not be a stranger in your own country.
Wow.
That set it. When I came to Zimbabwe, I was looking for a job, and I always wanted to be a diplomat.
Wow.
Somehow, and I wanted to be a diplomat. My idea was that I should be the diplomat in Canada.
Wow.
So this is what I did. I went for an interview in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and was successful. And I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the 8th of June, 1983.
Wow.
That's where my diplomacy started.
Absolutely amazing. And I've seen in your profile there, thank you for sharing that really interesting piece. And I will be going a bit more into discussing as an ex-diaspora myself. I can certainly relate with, there's always that thing where you continuously want to always go back to where it all started. You know, no matter how much opportunities you get, you still have got that thing that keeps telling you, I want to go back home. So we'll be coming back to that. So you then went into the Foreign Affairs Office, and I see that you excelled and ended up also as a spokesperson for the Foreign Affairs Office. How did that come about?
Yes, I joined the ministry at the very lowest level, administrative officer grade, the graduate grade. And what that means is you are really rising through the ranks in the line of diplomacy. My first assignment was in Western Europe and Americas, and I was the desk officer for the Americas.
Wow.
Then I moved to Africa and the Middle East. Again, I was the desk officer for West Africa. And then after that, I was then posted to, my first posting was to Canada. Just as I said, that was always my wish.
As you desired, amazing.
Yes, so I was posted to Canada as the deputy head of mission. And whilst I was there, we went through interviews at head office, and I was promoted to, I went there as a principal administrative officer, and I was promoted to assistant secretary then. And then I came back home, and I served in the protocol department. And I was promoted to undersecretary back at head office, and I was in charge of the protocol department. That was the first time in protocol.
Right.
And then after that stint, I was then posted to the United Kingdom as the deputy head of mission there.
Wow, wow.
Yes, that was from 1997 to 2002.
Wow.
And whilst I was there, I met a lot of Zimbabweans in the diaspora, and we had our bilateral relations being strengthened to a certain level. But that's the time, it was just as I arrived there, that's the time we had our dispute with the the host country, the United Kingdom, and the European countries. So that's when the land reform started. So it was at the peak of our bilateral relations with the United Kingdom when I was still serving. And for 9 months, I was the chargé d'affaires, acting ambassador there. What that meant is when we had our dispute, I was a frontline officer who had to answer. I was summoned by the Foreign Commonwealth Office.
Wow.
And they dressed me down. They dressed me down on behalf of my government. The reason being, there were 2 journalists which had been arrested, and they were saying that those 2 journalists who were arrested in our country, Zimbabwe, they were covering about the land reform program, so they went to town with it. That's when my mind now set itself to fight. I always had an ambassador who was always there, but once we were exposed, I took the challenge and defended my country. That everything that was being done was according to the law, and it was in the interest, national interest of our own nationals. So in our own government.
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely amazing piece there of history, and lovely to see a woman, you know, standing up to, in a foreign land, having to speak up. Because I think quite often the challenge, you know, when you're in a foreign land, you're scared to speak up because in case you get sent back home or your papers are allowed, you know, there's a lot of fear for a diaspora. What would you say for that diasporan person who may be listening and they're being faced with these challenges within a workplace, within a business, within an organization? What would be your advice be to them? At that point, what was your inspiration to speak up? What do you think happened, and what would be your advice to that person who may be listening?
Yes, when you are a diplomat, at that point I was the chargé d'affaires. The responsibility of defending your country, you are representing your head of state at that point. So I stood up and said, there's no other person, not even any other government there. It was the Zimbabwean diplomat who had to stand up and defend their country. So to the diasporans who are out there, we always say, yes, there's nothing wrong in staying in other people's countries. That we encourage. There's a lot of brain gain that we get from you being out there. But at the same time, don't forget where you come from.
Absolutely.
And make sure that those that you left in wherever they are very comfortable, but at the same time, you also have a role to play at some point. This is my message. And to your own children, they also need to have an identity, because once they're there, they get lost. Do I really belong here, or do I belong elsewhere? Just let them know, even if it means just bring them on holidays and take them back wherever you are, but at least they will know who they are. Their identity.
Absolutely, and thank you for sharing that piece. And this is for that diasporan who may be out there and thinking, you know, home is not closed. You know, we want to welcome you back home. But, you know, from experience, former ambassador to Ghana from Zimbabwe, she's really sharing some of these amazing things that she's done and really encouraging you as a diasporan to really speak up and never forget that you have a home to come back to. You know, we are always saying home is best. So stay tuned as I speak to former ambassador P.T. Musaka. Thank you. Yes, so welcome to another episode and the second segment of the Momentous podcast. And today I have in here former ambassador P.T. Musaka, and she was former ambassador to Ghana from Zimbabwe, grew up in Zambia, and she was telling us about some of her upbringing, her experience, and how she then rose to the ranks as a woman leader in foreign affairs as a whole and in the diplomatic industry, would I say. Okay, so I'm interested to know, because you were telling us that you were born in Zambia, but not only that, how were you coming to how did you keep the connection to Zimbabwe, having been born in Zambia? Because I'm trying to think of somebody who's maybe born outside the country. You know, how did you manage to keep the connection to Zimbabwe if your parents had migrated into Zambia?
Yes, thank you very much. The way our parents brought us up, they made sure, as I said, my father was a personal manager in this engine reconditioning company, but he also had a farm. So he made sure that every holiday we went to the farm. And Tendai kumusha. The whole idea was he wanted us to get used to that environment which we would find in Zimbabwe. So they set our mind right from our childhood that you will one day go back to Zimbabwe. So that's what kept us going. And in my case, I remember I never learned Shona in a classroom, but I knew my mother had a Bible from Methodist Church, which was in Shona. Right. So that's where I read even the spellings of how to spell the spellings of words in Shona. I learned it from the Bible, although some of my colleagues actually say to me, accuse me that you were actually abusing the Bible. Right, but that was the only way out. And then also the culture. They instilled that culture in us. Whenever we went to the farm, we would be taught, all that was really to instill the Zimbabwean culture in us. And I have it up to today, including the language.
I would really like to applaud your parents for doing that. What a good job and marvelous job, because I think, you know, we see in today's world where there's a lot of migration, where our diasporans are losing our culture, they're losing the language, you know, where we come from. You know, as first generation, they are losing that. And I think it's so important for somebody who may be watching, why it's so important for a child, for your children to know your language, know your culture. And you know, I think it comes with identity. And you, having been born in another country, was able to come back to Zimbabwe and be an ambassador of Zimbabwe in another country. I mean, that is an amazing, amazing journey, and I really want to applaud and encourage some of those parents out there. What would you say to, you know, to some of those that may be watching? You know, what sort of, challenges did you have coming back to Zimbabwe? Did you face challenges that, oh, you're not actually from here? How was it for you coming back into Zimbabwe, having been born in Zambia, went to school in Zambia, and then you're coming in as a Zimbabwean? How was that experience for you?
Yeah, that would have been very much the process that I would have gone through if it was not for that statement from my late father. Do not be a stranger in your own country. Just that sentence was enough to hold my hand throughout my stay in Zimbabwe. This is why I felt no hesitation to join the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or any other government department. I was ready for it, and I was ready to rise to the highest level, because I knew I'm not a stranger in Zimbabwe.
Absolutely.
So any diasporan born outside, my citizenship was through descent of my father. So you can either be born through and acquire your citizenship through descent, claim it if it's yours.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the same with, if you are born in Zimbabwe, then you have no challenge, of course, you have your citizenship. But claim back what is yours. That citizenship of Zimbabwe was mine. And I got it.
Never be a stranger in your own country.
I actually intend to write a book about that.
Absolutely, I love it already, and it's something that really resonates with me. But I really love it. Oh, thank you for sharing that. So, how did representing Zimbabwe abroad influence your passion for promoting Zimbabwean culture to get you to the point where you're now, wearing and being an ambassador to the Zimbabwean dress? How has that influenced you working abroad?
Okay, when I was, the last point I had mentioned, when I was serving the UK, we did interact a lot with the royal family. The Queen, when you are presenting your credentials, the ambassador actually goes to present to the late Queen, and now they have a king. You also get influenced by the way they dress. It's very colonial and it's British. But when you come back home, even when you are out there, you realize we don't have our own national dress. Yes, we can borrow theirs, but what do we have for ourselves? Then when I came back home, I was now in charge of, I was a deputy secretary in charge of human resources. Well, there I was just working as a personnel manager too, and managing our own mission. That was about 3.5 years before I was posted to Ghana. So when I went to Ghana, this is where I really felt the need for the Zimbabwe national fabric or dress, because the Ghanaian culture is rich.
Absolutely, yes.
Both their traditional culture, their royalty, and the way they dress in the famous kente. And I had to stand up as a Zimbabwean there. And women, unfortunately, women are more affected than men in terms of dressing, because you are expected to dress the Zimbabwean way. We didn't have it, other than to borrow maybe the British or any other African nationality, the Nigerian or the Ghanaian. So I used to improvise. I would actually get the Zimbabwe national flag colors and sit down with a weaver, a Ghanaian weaver, who would weave the kente for our dress, which was supposed to look like Zimbabwean, but because of the flag colors. But still, anybody would know that Zimbabweans don't weave kente. It's Ghanaian, which has just been used to produce a Zimbabwean flag-colored outfit. So when our own First Lady, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, came up with the idea of the Zimbabwe national fabric, and because of the suffering I went through in each of those countries I was posted to, Ghana, United Kingdom, and then Canada, I just felt here is an opportunity for me to showcase what I could not showcase when I was serving in government. So I appointed myself. I'm a self-appointed brand ambassador for the Zimbabwe national fabric, and I'm very proud to say that.
Absolutely.
Because those that are coming after us have no issues of what to wear. They now have the Zimbabwe national dress or fabric, which they can wear.
Absolutely.
And even for the children, they're asked whenever they are, whether you're in Zimbabwe or outside the country, you are asked on Cultural Day, Africa Day, can you wear your own cultural outfit? Now they can proudly come up with the Zimbabwe national dress and show it off.
And I love I love that. And from your experience, and I can see you have really rocked it well. And I love the fact that you can modernize it, but still have your African fabric, the Zimbabwean flag there. It looks really amazing. So I hope anyone who's listening out there is inspired to really rock your dresses. And I think this is something that I've seen across traveling, that we as Zimbabweans have never really had our own, where we hold ourselves high. And I think there's still a bit of stigma where it's associated to politics. Can you clarify that part? Because I know you're a cultural ambassador, you're African dress ambassador, self-appointed, but can you clarify and demystify this, where people need to understand that, wearing your Zimbabwean fabrics, does not necessarily mean you're a politician. Can you demystify that?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for asking that question. It's a very important one because nobody else can clarify it the way I'm going to do, because I was so much inside the women's gender issues when I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I was the gender focal point. So at some point, even the Office of the First Lady and the Minister of Women's Affairs did brief me about what went into the coming out with the Zimbabwe national fabric. They actually consulted all the provinces of Zimbabwe. It's not from one entity. It's the whole Zimbabwe was consulted,
right,
including the traditional leaders. This is why you find that the Zimbabwe national fabric comes in different colors. That's the preference of different provinces. We prefer those colors. So, and even the designs. So the research that went behind it is what qualifies this to be the Zimbabwe national fabric,
right, not
a political party. It's not ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF have their own regalia. If you see them when they attend congresses, you see them wearing their own regalia, which is very different. And it always has the Zimbabwe ZANU-PF logo, and also the Zimbabwe one, but never the Zimbabwe national flag. So it's very clear that theirs is party.
Wow.
And when it comes to government, they know this is government. So this is government, and it's national. Please feel free to wear it. But however, when I'm lecturing on protocol etiquette and grooming, because I'm now a consultant in my own company, I always tell people, you are not forced to wear the whole Zimbabwe national fabric in its full entirety. You can actually use it. Even just the bird is enough to identify you as a Zimbabwean.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the Zimbabwe bird. No other country has that emblem of a Zimbabwe bird. So you can use any part of that Zimbabwe national fabric and just enjoy it. Even just the hat, just like you're showing us, that fascinator. It looks so beautiful, but you can tell it's the Zimbabwean. That's what we are saying.
And I think it's high time we as Zimbabweans embrace our culture and really teach the younger generations. And I'm really big on where we're passing on wisdom, knowledge from generation to generation. And this is what we're trying to do as part of this Momentous podcast, where, I'm sitting with a former ambassador from Zimbabwe to Ghana, and she's sharing some of her experience and some of the work that she's done. So we have got 20-year-olds listening. We've got teenagers who would listen. We've got 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds who would listen. So this is actually impartation of knowledge where we're sharing in on that experience. So thank you for sharing in and demystifying. I think that was really important, to demystify what people think or perceive the regalia to be about. Thank you so much, and join me in on the last segment. Welcome to the third segment of the Momentous podcast, and I'm talking to former Ambassador P.T. Musaka. She was talking about the national dress, which she's rocking very nicely here today. Which brings me to talk about one of your other businesses that you've then founded since, which is the African Diplomat. Can you tell me a bit more about the African Diplomat? What is that organization? And, tell us a bit more, give us a bit more information on it.
Yes, thank you very much. As I went through my diplomatic journey throughout, starting with Canada, what always interested me in my diplomatic work was the marketing of our made in Zimbabwe products. This I did whenever we had any opportunity to exhibit. We always participated as an embassy. And even when I right through in the UK and when I was in Ghana, this is where my passion has always been, that we should market what has been made in Zimbabwe. The whole idea is to make sure that we create employment, we contribute towards the creation of employment. And then on my part, I always had a passion also for value addition. Somehow that one just excited me to add value. And then you achieve more in terms of generating the money that any business person wants. So whilst I was serving in Ghana, one of the investors who came to Zimbabwe during the time when we were going through a lot of hardships, when they came back from the trip to Zimbabwe, it was a 1-week trip, they came back to Ghana. They asked, Ambassador, we've heard you really promoting trade and investment into Zimbabwe, but what do you yourself have in terms of your own business? And at that point, I was just a civil servant, and I thought civil servants might never get involved in business. But he opened my eyes, that person, and that's when we established the African Diplomat. It started off as a private limited with just concentrating on retail and manufacturing. So I had a partner whom I was working with, a female partner whom I was working with, who operated the business whilst I was still serving. But upon my retirement in December 2023, I've now taken full charge of the company. And this is where I'm now showcasing my passion, even for promoting our own national dress, our own culture, and also the African culture. And to some extent, we can't ignore those we've interacted with in our diplomacy. So we actually cater even for international customers. So you'll find a touch of the Britain, it still comes out. You'll find a bit of the Asian, it will come out. You'll find Asian, Indian suits, you'll find Indonesian. So the African Diplomat actually reflects and promotes the diplomacy, international diplomacy. So this is what you get when you come to our shop in Avondale.
Absolutely amazing and very inspirational indeed. And I just really want to thank that person who opened your eyes, because I think sometimes we put the barriers ourselves to what it is that we can do and can't do. So that person opening your eyes has led to the African Diplomat. So under the African Diplomat, what sort of regalia, what sort of things can people expect to see? Is it just clothing line? Is there other things that you do? I can see you're wearing your lovely hat there, very beautifully made. What other products can people expect to see in the African Diplomat?
Thank you very much. What we promote in African Diplomat is it's tied to my consultancy job in protocol, etiquette, and grooming. So what we groom our customers is to dress for the different occasions.
Absolutely.
If you are going to a formal event, we'll do the executive formal wear for you. If you are going for the cocktails, in diplomacy there are a lot of cocktails, the evening wear, we'll do it for both the men and the women. And if it's going casual, let's say you want to go on holiday to the beaches, or you want to go on the cruise, we also cater for all that. So what we are doing is to make it an all-round in terms of production. This is what we produce through our production department. So this is what we are promoting and selling through the African Diplomat. This is now the boutique side, but we also have as you know,
of course,
the vocational college.
The vocational college, and I'll be coming into that. So I can see a lot of creativity is going in there, and you, with the level of exposure you have, you're really bringing it in where you're saying, dress for the occasion. I think it's so important. It's a message for another day, but we're, from the African Diplomat and from former ambassador, she's really encouraging men and women to dress for the occasion and, be able to proudly rock your African prints, your Zimbabwean especially, print with confidence. And I really love that. So I've seen that you've also then founded the African Diplomatic Vocational College. Can you tell us a bit more about that and, what it entails and what's its objective?
In Zimbabwe, we are doing very well in terms of training our students, either O-level, A-level, university, colleges, and everything. But there was one area, and I think the Second Republic has taken note of it when they talk about education 5.0. That's where the skills training is coming in. So I identified it when I was still working in Ghana that we're doing everything correct, the academic and everything, certification and everything, but that skill empowerment was missing. So this is how I added on to our retail and manufacturing, we added on the vocational training.
Yes.
And we're even going in the forthcoming year, we're actually expanding into something bigger, where we've come out with other entrepreneurs, members of the professional women in business. We've come up with as a joint venture. So we're going to grow it bigger than what it is, beyond just fashion designing. We're going to many other sectors.
Yes.
But as you say, that's for another day. For today, we're just talking about the African diplomat as it is.
Yes.
We train in fashion designing. And there is another passion which I have to empower those that are underprivileged.
Yes.
So we have tangible cases of underprivileged girls who worked in our factory, and now one of them has a shop in town, and she's making clothes only for celebrities.
Wow.
She can't afford to make anything else for anybody else but celebrities, because of the talent that she acquired and the expertise that she acquired through our company.
Wow.
And one of them also is working for the VIPs. She's very good at African attire. So she's working for and making clothes for the VIPs. Again, that exposure and training, she got it from our company. Absolutely. And quite many others.
Absolutely.
So it's the girl child who has benefited more from the African diplomat, but we want to open it up even to the boy child.
Yes.
Because we've been ignoring, this is why they're resorting now to drugs.
Yes.
We're saying we can also make a contribution, and I'm appealing to many other entrepreneurs in the private sector that let's also make a difference and empower these youths. That mind, what I hate to see is a mind which is idle. Because then it develops many bad ideas. But if you keep it busy, you'll be surprised what that young man who was on drugs can do. I always have a very good example of one of our best designs that was made in the African diplomat. For me, it was made by somebody who's on drugs.
Wow.
And we had to look for him, we had to tell all the security guards in Avondale, can you look for this person, because I have an important occasion that I want to go in. This a good designer. But how many times can you do that?
Yes.
He needs to be rehabilitated.
Absolutely.
That's our contribution.
Right, absolutely. I love that. And, coming through from Ambassador P.T. Musaka, she's really talking about the business community engaging and supporting and giving back to our young generation. It's a part that's really I'm passionate about as well, and I think it's so important, and I can see some of the work she's doing, changing people's lives. How can people actually connect with the African Diplomatic Vocational College? We may be having a lot of unemployed young people watching. How can they connect? How can they register? Is there a space they can go to? Is there a website? Can you be able to share that information with us?
Yes, the African Diplomat Vocational College, which was focusing mainly on fashion designing, is situated at is shop number 10 in Avondale, above Nando's building.
Yes.
But as I'm saying, we're actually starting to recruit for next year's intake in the bigger vocational college. We're just going through the registration with the registrar of companies. We've got our name approved for the new bigger vocational college. So that will be coming out in the media. Very soon we'll be broadcasting where to get the contacts. But for the fashion designing, it's still the vocational college.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. I love that. So, if you're watching and you want to connect with some of the work that is happening at the African Diplomat College in regards to fashion or other courses, because these guys are not stopping, they are expanding. So expansion is in the process. And Ambassador is saying here, keep your ears to the ground, because information is going to be coming out on how you can also register for some of those courses. So thank you for sharing in that. Welcome to the final episode of the Momentous podcast, and I'm still speaking to former Ambassador P.T. Musaka, and she's talking to us about her journey as well-established, well-traveled diplomat, and some of the work she's doing here in Zimbabwe in regards to, promoting our cultural dress codes in terms of working with young people and mentoring more and more young entrepreneurs. She's also a founding member of the Zimbabwe Entrepreneurs Fashion Designers. Tell me a bit more about what inspired that idea. How did that come about?
Yes, I was inspired to come up with, to be found a member of that Zimbabwe Entrepreneurs Fashion Designers Association when I went through downtown. And I went into those old buildings, which were offices before, and they're now all factories. I could see the quality of work those people are producing, but I asked myself, where are they marketing their products? And I couldn't see a very clear marketplace where they market them. Of course, quite a number of them are now using the ICT, social media, whatever, but I still felt there is somebody who needs to hold their hands and take them outside and expose them. But given my experience in diplomacy, international diplomacy, I felt I could take them along and give them the platform to showcase what they're producing. So even if you come to the African diplomat, you'll find somebody who makes the leather handbags, the handbags made using our Zimbabwe national fabric, the fascinators using a lot of these materials. And those people are not necessarily even in our shop. We actually outsource them to promote those people who have no access to the market.
Right.
So our boutique is also a market for those that are in the industry, in the CBD. And then my experience, as I mentioned much earlier, of marketing Zimbabwe, it's a brand which we are marketing.
Yes.
Zimbabwe is a brand.
It is, absolutely.
And we need to get it to be known in terms of what we produce. We're very hardworking, resilient people, and we produce good quality products.
Absolutely.
This is what the international market needs to know, within Africa, within SADC, the world over.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, that's really, really powerful to hear. So what are other strategies that you're using to help these Zimbabwean designers to meet the export quality? Are you particularly working with any specific organizations, for them to go into such places such as SADC or even the international business market? What organizations?
Yes, we want to give these people a lot of exposure, especially the diasporans. This is why when you asked me to come for this interview, I did not even hesitate to think twice whether I should come or not, because I knew you're one of the outlets that we can get our people to be known through your own interview. And then at the same time, we also work with the established organizations such as the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe, which falls under the Ministry of Sports, Recreation and Arts. They are really promoting us as well.
Right.
And then we also have established organizations such as Zimtrade for the standard and the Standard Association. They help us to get the standards correct. So we're hoping, especially in the new year, we will actually launch the association so that we bring all the stakeholders on board, then they can help us, and also diasporans to come on board.
Absolutely.
So that we benchmark ourselves with the international standards.
Absolutely.
But by designers who are Zimbabweans,
Right.
who want to show us what they've
Some of
acquired
the
out
work
there,
that is done, yes.
and we can showcase the
Abs-
Zimbabwe brand throughout the whole world.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it. And I'm hearing you talking about, showcasing Zimbabwean talent through these diasporans, people who are even outside Zimbabwe. What sort of things are you planning to be able to create that platform for the Zimbabweans? Have you got any events that you're planning, possibly that can be a platform where these people can come together? What sort of things is this organization doing?
Yes, just yesterday evening, I was speaking to one diasporan designer who is based in Indonesia. He exhibited during the Fashion Week, the Zimbabwe Fashion Week.
Yes.
And I saw his quality of products, and he had his fashion show being shown to the international community through that Fashion Week. And I said, this is one person we can work with. We will, in preparation for our next event, which will be the last quarter of next year.
Okay.
So that we celebrate our 16th anniversary at the African Diplomat.
Yes.
And also launch the ZEFTA,
Yes.
the Association of Designers who are entrepreneurs, in that same event, so that we can have what we have now is an interim committee, but we want to have elected members,
Yes.
because that's what the constitution demands, that they must be elected, the members who can run. And it's mainly for the youths who are going to run it.
Yes.
We only help to facilitate, to establish it, but the rest will be done by the youth with our support, of course.
Absolutely.
But we let them run with it.
Absolutely. Wow, some inspiration there coming in, and certainly motivational for anybody who may be looking to get involved in designing or wants to showcase their work. And I can see you're going as far as Indonesia, speaking to entrepreneurs in that space. So details will be on the screen, and those dates, would love you to share them with us so that we can promote the event and get more and more diasporans really coming to invest back in Zimbabwe or showcasing the talent that Zimbabwe holds. So really interesting. Finally, what keeps you motivated and keeps you serving? Because I know you've been involved in mentorship, you're involved in entrepreneurship, diplomacy, and really promoting Zimbabwe's excellence. What is it that keeps you motivated? I want to know.
Thank you very much. As my last post in government was the Chief Director in charge of Protocol and Conferencing Services. So what that entailed, I did interact a lot with the diplomats who are credited to Zimbabwe and our own diplomats who are posted abroad. So I just felt I could not just put an end beyond my retirement to that expertise that I'd acquired over years. So what I'm just doing is I'm also addressing my own fellow colleague ambassadors and the diplomats. They come and they're one of our major customers in our shop, and also diasporans are major customers in our shop. So it keeps me motivated because I'm satisfying a need. And then at the same time, I'm also a golfer. So that's where I get my exercise and the fitness. I look forward to.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Any lasting words to anyone who may be watching? What would you say to the young person who may be watching, who's aspiring to be like former ambassador, Musaka, PT Musaka? What are your lasting words to them?
Yes, my parting words are just decide on what you know you are best at and you have a passion for. Nobody will force you to do it. If you identify that quality in you, just follow it through and you excel and you'll be on the international world stage.
Wow, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for taking this interview with me today on the Momentous podcast. And the lasting words, whatever it is you put your mind to do, you can certainly do it. And we've seen from a classic example of our very own Zambian-born Zimbabwean who came back to take charge in foreign affairs, ended up as ambassador of Zimbabwe in various other countries. And we are so inspired, and I'm personally very inspired, and I hope my audience is inspired by the work you're doing and have done over the years. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing in with us on the Momentous podcast, powered by Drevental Car Rental. Until next time.